Hi, my name's Cheggs. This is episode 12 of my road to sobriety journey. Today actually marks quite a milestone for me. You will have heard in previous episodes that I've mentioned about also giving up smoking. Today is actually 2 months since I last smoked any weed. So I wanted to, in today's episode, talk about weed, my thoughts on weed, because it's not something that I've actually delved into too much. I've obviously focused a lot on the drinking side of things, but if I'm being honest, the more problematic relationship I had was definitely with smoking weed. So it's obviously been 2 months, like I say, since I last smoked any weed. In that time frame, I've felt like I've improved my outlook on life. My drive, determination is way higher than it would have been previously. Now, when I was smoking weed, I don't think it was like that I wasn't driven or wasn't ambitious, but those things weren't quite as intense as maybe they feel now. I think they're a lot more prominent and at the forefront of my mind when it comes to just daily life. I'm thinking about the bigger picture a lot more than I would have been previously. I think one thing that happens when you do smoke weed is it brings you very much in the moment. It makes you live life sort of very much in the moment, and you don't necessarily think about what's happened and what's to come. It just makes you feel very content with the current moment, which obviously is beneficial to some people, and for some people smoking weed is fine for them. But I know for me it's probably taken me a year of trying to get to the point that I'm at now, where it's been 2 months off of it. And I also feel like I'm not getting any cravings or feeling any desire to smoke. And I think sometimes for some people that happens naturally over time anyway, and they suddenly get to a point where they just don't feel like doing it anymore. And I think for me, that probably started a year ago in terms of having these feelings of not really wanting to, and maybe on and off before that, but now the actual decision not to smoke is a lot easier to make than it was before. Like when you're coming off any kind of substance that you maybe have a bit of a problematic relationship with, it is a challenge at first. I'm very grateful that I've managed to get to this place that I'm in now, because I don't think that I'd be making videos. I don't think I would be maybe going to the gym as regularly as I am, caring about progressing myself as much as I am now. Like I say, it's not like when I was smoking that I never did anything else. I was still doing plenty of other stuff sometimes in my life, but it was more there was more hurdles to doing that stuff in terms of mentally, sometimes having to motivate yourself, when really it's stuff that you enjoy anyway, so you shouldn't be needing to motivate yourself in that same way, which is how I feel now. When I come to do that stuff now, it feels so natural and such an easy, effortless thing to go to the gym or to go play football, to play badminton. I'd say the other thing that's massively improved is just my baseline emotional level is a lot more just stable and not so up and down. Some of that as well is from stopping drinking, but I think a big thing for me, when I was a heavy user of smoking weed, which hasn't been very recently, but if we're going back to around lockdown times, sort of COVID times, 2020 and before that, I would be so up and down all over the place. Some days I would have what I would describe as almost just a level of irritation and anger at times as well. I think I would get wound up a lot more easily. I think when I'm not when substances aren't involved, I'm a pretty easy going person overall. When there was weed involved in things, I became quite stressed out, uptight, like I say, irritable, in those moments where maybe in the back of my mind I was thinking about, what am I actually doing here? There was points of my life when it came to smoking weed where it basically dictated it. That's not sustainable to have a relationship with something like that, where it is the be all and end all of your life. Yeah, like I say, I'm feeling really grateful that obviously I've got to this place that I'm in now, where I'm able to look back on that and think I'm not in that anymore. I'm feeling obviously very proud that I've hopefully closed the chapter on that side of my life. And I'm just like really looking forward to everything to come as a result of not smoking as well, because I know that looking at everything that I'm doing now and how much more it is than what I was doing when smoking was a big part of my life, all the stuff with uploading videos to just like trying to progress career wise, to even thinking about not drinking, because this is the other thing, is like they can sometimes go hand in hand and make each other worse. I would often be like, if I'm having a smoke, oh yeah, I'll have a drink too, or if I've had a drink, I feel like smoking afterwards. So it can be a bit of a vicious cycle with the two of them. So I'm quite glad that smoking's gone, but also I think the drinking going too is meaning that I'm less likely to relapse to the smoking and stuff at the minute as well. Not that I feel like I want to, because again, just like with the drinking, where I've been reading up on information to do with the effects of drinking and the benefits of not, I had been doing the same with smoking. So now when it comes to smoking, I tend to picture all the side effects and the version of me that I don't want to be anymore when it comes to like being around smoking, just like I would with alcohol, where you picture the days afterwards, and again like the person that you don't necessarily want to be and the person that you do want to be and how that looks. That in itself is making not smoking quite easy too. The other big thing with smoking that happens is it can completely erode like relationships and friendships with people, because you don't necessarily realise that, oh, it's been like a month since I spoke to that person, or 2 months, because if you're smoking every night, the weed becomes like your crutch and your friend, but it's not your friend. Or it wasn't my friend. And this is the thing, for some people smoking weed is fine, it helps them in some ways and things like that, but for me, and I think for a lot of people, I got into a habit of doing it that was really quite toxic, and I wouldn't know when or how to stop, and it just completely controlled me for a while. Like I say, going back to the friendships and things, so you start to think that, well, you don't even realise that smoking the weed is deteriorating those relationships and friendships that you've got with people. You're A, under the influence of it quite a lot, but B, you're just thinking about smoking that day or night or whatever. It can get you in quite like a selfish mindset, I think, at times, but you don't realise you're being selfish. It's like an oblivious level of selfishness where you're just only kind of thinking about you and being high, eating a load of crap food and watching a load of crap TV and just like wasting time. I've looked back now and think about how much time I spent high in smoking, and I think, imagine I'd spent all that time on something that was worthwhile, improving myself, learning a new skill, something like that. Like I was saying in yesterday's episode, you have to be careful with being harsh on yourself from the past, because it's the reason that you are the person that you are now, and we all go through these battles and learn stuff from it. But you can sometimes look back on that with a bit of regret, because it is, at the end of the day, like time wasted a bit in your life. Now I did have some great, don't get me wrong, I did have some great times with friends doing that stuff, but it got to the point where it just completely took over. Didn't necessarily stop becoming fun in the moment, but definitely looking back, like the first year or two of smoking was kind of fun, or I would say like the first year, and then it never was really as fun as that again, but you don't realise that. So those are my thoughts on weed and what it was for me. If anyone else is struggling with weed or anything, then feel free to drop a comment or whatever, if there is anybody watching. I will do another episode I'm going to do another episode on Sunday, so leave it a little bit longer this time, just because I've got a pretty busy weekend coming up. Friday, tomorrow, going to the football again, Leicester versus Nottingham Forest. Saturday, I'm going to Nottingham for the day, so I'll try and film a bit of both of those, just so there's something cool to put into the episode on Sunday. Then Sunday Sunday, I'm actually hoping to do like a massive run, somewhere around 18 miles to 20 miles if I can manage it. I want to do over a half marathon again. Sunday, when I do the episode on Sunday, I might be completely battered, but we'll see. Might have to sleep before filming that, but that is when I will see you all next.